material, okay, any one of those justified reasons, that's a question. How would you actually fight with it?
Hey Shad, I'm David. I'm part of Digitally Twisted Outlaws, and this is a response video, a friendly one, response video to your how to fight with giant swords. Coming from, as far as I know, the only real experts on how to fight with giant swords. This right here is a 48-pound hardened steel Dragonslayer that was made for me 4 years ago by Pretty Hate Machining, and I've been training with it since January of this year to do a Guinness Book of World Records, destroying 100 targets 6 meters apart in record time. As you can see, it is metal, and contrary to popular opinion, it clangs. So I saw your video and I thought it was super awesome and left you a little comment, and I did a live stream of it, but I wanted to go over a few things I saw in your video where I think it helped boost you up ahead a little bit as you pursue your idea for like a shoulder girdle or shoulder type leverage combat style, which is effective, but also what I do for my Colossus technique that myself and my followers have named, and that I'm moving forward with turning into the first world's giant sword technique. So hopefully we can have a little friendly competition, and again, this is just a friendly response video. Love your stuff, watch it all the time, I think you're super awesome. Let's get started.
Bit elevated too much, but there, what's interesting, because the blade is so wide, you even rest it on the shoulder like that, and that's actually quite comfortable, and I don't need to hold it all.
All right, the first thing I want to try is, I haven't attempted this before, is your carry that you came up with, where you kind of prop it on your shoulder and then the cross guard just kind of rests right about here. So I don't really have a cross guard, and in fact this part right here, it's kind of sharp and pointy, and I would actually use this to zoom out a little bit if I was at close quarters with somebody, kind of like strike them with it. Same thing with this part right here, but that's that's a video for another day. But let's give it a shot. I don't think it's going to work because of the amount of weight, but let's see. Well, hold on. I might have to eat my words. It is digging into my shoulder a little bit. I'll turn around, but if I had on a real suit of armor and not a piece of motocross armor, maybe. All right, let me try moving around a little bit. It's very imbalanced up on top, but I've got pretty good core strength and stability, so I think I can get away with it. Maybe with okay, plausible, good idea. All right.
The weight on my arms anymore, and this is pretty good. Actually, right there isn't bad at all.
Me personally, because this weapon is so huge and thick, and really its blade is more of a wedge rather than a fine edge like most swords that you're used to utilizing, I can get away with and stepping back, and the point will still be sharp enough to destroy pretty much anything, because the point of it, of having a weapon this size, is because you get to take advantage of the weight. People's biggest complaint and talking trash about giant swords is that their weights are too heavy, but at the same time the weight is what gives you the power, and the weight is the whole purpose of having a giant sword. So case in point, it doesn't matter. And anybody go on my channels, I have two channels, both named Digitally Twisted Outlaws, but the one I'm doing response on here is my current one. You will know that I have stabbed my sword into the ground many, many times, and no, I have not sharpened it. It is quite... Oh, now it's stuck.
The sword in the bucket.
It is not the sharpest. And I'll show you without cutting it. This is not the sharpest of blades, but it doesn't matter because there's just so much weight to this weapon that it automatically just drives through anyways because of its mass. Similar to what we see with Guts' sword when he cuts it and keeps destroying apostles and demons and everything else, even though he's been swinging around for years and he almost never sharpens it. I too am guilty of not properly sharpening my weapon. Even though I should, I find all the times I really don't have to, as long as it doesn't get too carried away. Next. So a lot of common misconceptions about people that wield giant swords that it's too slow, it's too heavy to be practical. That someone can come in, move really fast, and stab, 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 and just like slice in pieces. That's not the case. This thing is a giant, intimidating weapon. Let's say, for instance, this bucket's somebody. We move it in close. That was just me stepping back and allowing the weight of the weapon to go towards the person moving towards me. Very deadly. And also stuck. So that's a common misconception about giant swords, is that you can just quickly rush up on somebody and slice the bits.
I wonder what the recoil would be with something so heavy, because I don't see a big hit and it bounces off, but if it does, you just rest it back there.
Another common misconception about these giant swords is that they're not the most practical. They're not useless. If you hit something hard, they'll kind of bounce back. This is a Zweihander, 7 pounds. I would call this a pretty heavy weapon. Something that, you know, one of the most heaviest weapons ever used in hand-to-hand combat. This, come closer. You can feel the vibration of this 7-pound Zweihander striking the stump and bouncing back. And just show you guys, I'm not just messing with you with some cheap plastic pieces of junk. Again, here's our bucket. Step back, please. That may not have been the best test. So, here's our bucket. It's still pretty beat up. I'll show you how far this Zweihander can get with it. Ready? See? So it did cut. Mm-hmm. And it cut even though this bucket was already damaged. Now, my point of this was to compare it when I was trying to cut the stump. Now watch.
Yeah, it's pretty wet.
What is the difference? The wood's wet, it's also hitting a knot, so it's pretty strong, but look how deeply the Dragonslayer cut into it without bouncing back. And here's my thumb and hand, just for comparison. So about an inch, a little bit more maybe. That is the advantage you have with giant swords, is that they unleash more energy and impact for the target, and they bite deeper as well. They're also very durable. I don't think you're recording, were you?
I am.
Oh, you are recording? Okay, cool. They're very durable. Alright. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, you made a comment about one of the movements that people make like you see a lot in video games where it's like, it's not plausible, it's a dumb movement. I disagree.
Giant swords, because we see in video games super giant swords a lot, and oftentimes the way that they're fought with is really bad. Like if we look at, look, I love Elden Ring, we look at the animation specifically, they're swinging it about wildly, over swinging in a really crude, uncontrolled fashion. And I think that
Is this kind of like how they do it in the video games?
Yes. So this is what Shad was talking about earlier when they do it in the video games. But this technique, I call this berserk impact because it's the most impactful. Here we go.
attack, your threat range is huge with this thing because it's so long, and you can do these big wide slashes just like we see with Montante treatises.
Honestly, just by wielding this heavy blade for so long and seeing what works, what actually doesn't work. Regular sword skills does not work. For instance, you brought up the Montante style when you're working with your wooden sword, okay? Ground, I'm by no means an expert, but basically flailing around, getting people back from you, okay? Not a Montante expert, I get that. But the problem with that, for what you're doing, is that you had a lot of wrist movements, which you can't do. You cannot do wrist movements. You cannot do wrist movements with the Dragonslayer. Okay? So if I try to do a Montante movement with this thing, point of failure is right here. All my tendons, ligaments, everything holding my hand together starts to break, starts to twist right here. It's just too much energy. And going off of that point with the horizontal strikes you did. Horizontal strikes with Dragonslayer aren't the best because you're working against gravity. So, even if I was to do it fast, with a full body horizontal swing like this, I don't exert as much energy as if I do a movement like this. That's why the horizontal swings for giant swords don't really work. That's why for my Colossus techniques and my sword skill, horizontal strikes, like uppercuts, are more for like getting people to step back or getting yourself set up for success.
You can't let it hit the ground. And so sideways, up, but I'm not sure the benefit is there, right? Another one might actually be something, I don't know, if you had a glove that you could hold it, something like this might actually work because, again, glove to prevent yourself from cutting your own hand. You can rest a sword like that. You would never need to with a real sword because they're so light, but this is so heavy, right? Again, if you had the strength, you could avoid the cut with a metal glove or something like this. This is actually not bad because it gives you that extra leverage point to push off into a quick attack. Where you're there, you just push off into a...
Because you had an idea where you had like, you could pick up the blade and hold it with your hand. But the problem is, it's so heavy that it cuts into leather. It cuts into materials. It also cuts into the armor I have on as well, which is why I wear it. I'm getting mosquitoes after me. Let me give you an example, Shad. Pick up. This is super dangerous. I use my right arm, which is strongest, which I'm most used to it. I'm gonna hold that edge.
I'm gonna get on
all the weight is on my right hand, and I feel it cutting into my left. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
We're gonna throw it towards this. So I missed. We'll try one more time, just for you, Shad. One more time, just for you. Only because I like you. But it's really dumb and dangerous what I'm doing. Maybe we're on an angle. Okay, so that's getting close. We can see not as strong. My hand will be there again. Go and zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. See my hand? Going on the other side. Bring it down a little bit.
There we go.
See?
Yeah, it didn't go in as deep.
Nowhere near as deep. Not only that, but travel down the blade. Travel down the blade. It wasn't even cut, unlike when I did using my method. So the launching of the hands,
Less accurate.
less accurate, unbalanced, dangerous, and honestly not worth it. Good idea, but dangerous and not worth it.
Swords was something that we, talked about in the one-handed section, and that is crowd control. Big, wide swings like this, just slash, 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 slash. And you can absolutely do this. Affect the person or hero, it actually means it's a viable technique. That is actually really cool and something that I wasn't necessarily expecting.
Okay, so now we're going to do your very silly swinging around and then whirlwind technique. Super dangerous and also more likely to get you thrown off balance. I know you're laughing, having a good time, but I have to cover it anyway, so here we go. All right. So the problem is right now, I can't swing it fast enough to get up.
It looked cool.
I mean, so, ow, got bit in the face by a mosquito. So if I wanted to smash my friend's knees and their shins, that's a great technique, but stand back. There's not a lot of control once you get going.
You could take out some chihuahuas.
Actually, maybe.
Is recovering from the spin, because I was fully just like, going like that, and trying to recover. I think you could, into a strike, or as you're going around, just hook it on your shoulder, ready to go.
Okay, plausible, but very dangerous. So I'll get that one to you, Shad. All right, I'm gonna try one more time. I'm gonna try to do what I just did, and we'll see what happens. Ready? This could be the death.
Oh God.
I'm gonna stick with plausible, very dangerous, and honestly, I don't think it's effective. At least, not my current state of fitness or control. And definitely one you want to have a helmet on. All right, this is the end of my examples of response. Shad, pleasure talking to you. Like I said, I beat you to it. I'm actually the one that has created the first giant sword art, swordsmanship skill techniques, and it's called the Colossus. All right, everyone. Shad, thank you for watching. If you are, Outlaws, everybody else, we'll see you next time.